Live.
Hi everybody, this is Jennifer Evans with Periwinkle Studio. I'm going to try not to kick the table so I don't make you all dizzy. We are going to be using some repurposed materials to do an art project today. Because Earth Day falls in the month of April, we thought we would show you how to use a cardboard egg carton to make some florals, and we're going to talk about some different ways that you can modify this project and different things to do with them once you've made the flowers. So as the last live session that we did, please feel free to comment and ask any questions. I like to be interactive with my audience, so at any point please ask questions. I have my helper here, Grant, who is going to be watching for the comments, and he's going to also help position the camera. So if you need us to get in closer and give you a better look at what we're doing, speak up, okay? Is anybody on with us? People coming on? I know there's a little bit of a delay, but please let me know if we have an audience. That's the one thing about doing these lives, is I don't get to talk to people or see your faces.
Yeah, the thumbs up just came on right now,
okay.
So we're about like
all right. Okay.
20-ish seconds off sync.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well, give us just a minute to reposition the camera, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do and talk you through the supplies. Okay, I have a couple of egg cartons here. So if you start off using something like this, the first thing that you're going to want to do is cut the flap, the cover off of the egg carton. But set this aside, we're going to use that, just not right now.
Nope.
And just to get that out of the way, we're going to cut a strip off, and we might repurpose these a little bit later for leaves for the flowers. Something to note about the scissors. I have this real snazzy set of Fiskars that are made for cutting odd materials like cardboard, foam, things that you normally you'd have a lot of trouble cutting with. So I just want to caution you that when you're cutting the cardboard, these are going to be, they're going to dull your scissors pretty quickly. So just be prepared that you might have to go and have your scissors sharpened after you do this project if you make a lot of these flowers. Okay, so now we have the one side of the egg carton, and what we're going to do is cut these centers off. And so I'm cutting them so they're about level with the side of the egg carton. Whew, well, I'm flying. Okay, and these are going to become the centers of the flowers.
Michelle says, how many different kinds of scissors do you own?
Well, I probably own a lot, depending on if I'm using something for fine detail or cutting fabric or paper. These just happen to be a pair that I got at a craft expo a lot of years ago, and they cut kind of unusual materials, so I dug them out especially for this. Okay, now what I'm doing is I have the divider, and now you can get at the individual cups and start to cut those apart. And really what you're going to do is use, if you turn this over, you can see that there's kind of 4 corners to this egg cup, and you're going to use that as your guide to cut up each one of those 4 corners. And I'm going to cut, there's a natural circle right there that's kind of stamped into the cardboard. I'm going to cut up to the circle, but leave the center of the cardboard intact. So that's going to be the base of my bloom. Okay, so I can open it up kind of like that. Now I'm going to cut each one of these 4 tabs into a petal shape. So we're going to round it off. And this is where, if your scissors tore into the cardboard at all, this is where you get to round them off and make them look pretty. Okay, so I have one that looks like that. Can everybody see that?
No. There we go.
Ready. One that looks like that. Now I need a second one. So in order to get a nice bloom, you're going to need 2 egg cups. Open that up. Round the edges. And depending on when you start getting good at these, you can figure out if you want the petals to be more flat and rounded or pointy and skinny like a daisy. Okay, so now I have 2. And I took my Mod Podge, but you could use Elmer's glue. I have a big container of Mod Podge. This is decoupage medium. It dries clear. But you can use Elmer's glue, and I've poured it into a little dish, or if you've got a little Dixie cup or something like that. It makes easy work of this, or if you have a really old paintbrush that's kind of using glue with a paintbrush that you paint with is going to really stiffen the bristles. So make sure it's a brush that you don't have a lot of love for, and it's okay if it stiffens up. So this is definitely my glue brush. I can paint the glue on if I want to. But what I'm going to do now is go back to the center, okay? And I'm going to cut this down right about in half. So I have a little bud like that, and I have a bigger circle. And I'm going to nest these inside of one another like that. Can we see that, Grant?
Yeah.
Everybody see that? Okay.
It's right on it.
So what I'm going to do is dip this in the glue so that it stays put when I put it there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my 2 blooms. I'm going to nestle them inside each other. So I'm not going to put them right on top of one another. I'm going to turn it a quarter turn like that, so that the petals kind of fan out a little bit. So I'm going to take the inside, dip it in the glue. Are y'all with me so far? Put it in there, turn it a quarter turn. Okay, so I have the shape of the bloom like that. And then I'm going to take the center, which are my 2 insides nestled in, dip that in the glue, and put that in the center. Is that in the shot? Can we see that?
It's in the direct center of the shot.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Okay, so that is the basic structure of a rose. And once you kind of start playing around with these, you can use these strips or cut the top of the egg carton, come in here and cut strips off of these extra. So I've got a long skinny strip like that. which I can cut down. Let's cut this in half and let's roll it in on it. So the printing side is going to go inside. I'm going to roll, 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 roll. And I can secure that with a little bit of glue. But that could go in place of the nestled one inside of my, that could be another way to do a center. Okay, do we have any questions?
Nope, none yet.
You guys are either working really hard or I'm just amazing the heck out of you, huh? Okay.
Well, I mean, there is only 6 people.
Okay, well, people might be catching this on the replay at some future point. So you're going to try to secure the glue in there, but give it drying time before you work with these. These can be painted, but you want to make sure that the glue is dry so that when you start painting them, you don't accidentally knock everything out of place and your flower falls apart. So make sure you give it some time to set up, for the glue to set up. And again, these strips can be used to cut leaves. You can cut that into a leaf shape, and you can have leaves for your flowers as well. So you can do roses, daisies, you can do little buds if you wanted to just do a couple that are nestled into each other and then curl that around. That could be a nice tight little bud. So once you start working with these, you'll get all kinds of ideas on how to form your rose. Now, what do you do with them once you've made all of these roses? You can paint them or dye them, and I will show you. This is an example of some that I did, and I attached to a simple frame, a photo frame. So I needed, let's see, you can measure, you can do one rose and figure out, like you could do just a cluster in the corner, or I did, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 10, 12, 14 of the roses and glued them onto the frame. So I went ahead and used some ink, or actually acrylic. You can water down acrylic and get your brush in there, really down into the center of the petals if you want to paint these. But again, you're not going to work with these too much, because if it gets too wet, you'll start to break down the cardboard and it will kind of become like you'll have like a paper mache. So you want to give it some drying time, and the cardboard is really super absorbent. So it's going to use a lot of paint. It's going to soak right in. Do one coat, let it sit and dry, then come back and do another coat if you want the color to be more, give it some more oomph. You could also take these and glue them onto a headband. You can glue them onto a canvas and then cut some stems out of your skinny pieces and glue those onto the canvas and make a really cool three-dimensional piece of art. You can probably put them on a bracelet. You could do all kinds of things with these, but I love the fact that they're three-dimensional and you can do a little cluster of flowers. Have everybody make their own while we're waiting for the weather to warm up and us to have real flowers outside. And that's our recycled art project with cardboard egg cartons. So post any questions for me, any comments, or if you're going to make your own, please snap a photo and put it on the comment section of this video. We love to see everybody's work. It's so fun. See how everybody interprets the design. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and well and creative. Have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody.